Either the world is shaping up to gold or gold is shaping the world. And with the latest move by El Salvador, it certainly seems that either case could be made. Either way, gold is at the center of it all. In Central America, let's talk about it as we explore. That's right, El Salvador has made a huge and shocking announcement. Just happened. They are buying $50 million in gold for reserve diversification, according to mining.com and an X posting by the Central Bank of El Salvador. In fact, that post says the Central Reserve Bank reports that it has acquired 13,999 troy ounces of gold, equivalent to $50 million U.S. as part of the strategy to diversify its international reserves. This is a big deal, folks. Now, obviously, in terms of tons, but you can do the math on that. But it's kind of ironic that if they just bought one more ounce, they could have had 14,000 troy ounces. But nonetheless, I'm not sure exactly what form they took part in, but maybe it could have been bars like this. You know, these are 100-gram bars. More likely, they probably got contract-sized bars, or stored, or maybe a transaction was done in the LBMA and some of the bars held there. But El Salvador has acquired nearly $50 million worth of gold as part of the nation's broader move to diversify its international reserves and solidify financial stability amid heavy exposure to Bitcoin. Remember, Bitcoin was a big deal in El Salvador, but you know what? As for us, well, we like to be our own central bank as well. We should. That's where Summit Metals comes in. They're the channel sponsor, and there's still some good deals to be had in gold, especially fractional gold. But more importantly, they offer great customer service, so check out Summit Metals and elevate your wealth with them as you begin your stacking or continue your stacking journey. They also will buy back your gold if you need to sell it, or there's a portion that needs to be liquefied if you need to liquefy your holdings because, well, you want to profit for some of your stack. Now, I typically advise against letting go of too much of your stack, but if you mention sal or salivate metal, you will get better than what they have listed on their sell to us portion of their website. So check it out. But nonetheless, in a social media post on X, El Salvador Central Bank confirmed that it has bought 13,999 ounces of gold, bringing its total gold holdings to 58,105 ounces, now valued at approximately $207 million. The gold purchase was the first that has been made since 1990. It comes a week during which the gold set multiple all-time highs, with prices currently sitting close to $3,600 an ounce. Year to date, gold bullion has risen over 36% amid strong buying interest by central banks. And now, in the shocking move, El Salvador is now in the mix there, and a wise decision on their part. Although I would say that given the price, they're a little bit late to the game, but really it's never too late, I don't think, to hold gold, in my view, because in the long run it will preserve your wealth. Even if this is the high that we're seeing now, I think sooner or later, and during the course of time, we're going to see gold continue to move up, or at least preserve our wealth. And I don't think this is necessarily the top, but who knows? Who knows where it could be with gold? And I think that really El Salvador thinks it's got room to move up as well too, or I don't think they would have made that move. And I think honestly, this move, even though it's not a whole lot compared to some of the other banks and what they hold and what they can accumulate, it's a big deal for a Central American bank in the West to be able to accumulate a portion like this. El Salvador's move signals a cautious recalibration of its reserve strategy. For years, the country under President Nayib Bukele has embraced Bitcoin, becoming the first nation to adopt it as legal tender back in 2021, and that certainly did make headlines in the day, and look where Bitcoin is now. But this move to gold, I think, further definitely enhances their standing and diversification. To analysts, its latest gold purchase is seen as a way to reassure international partners and stabilize its balance sheet amidst Bitcoin's notorious volatility. According to central bank data, El Salvador's net international reserve stood at $4.7 billion as of July 2025, compared with about $3 billion in the same month of 2024. About $700 million of the reserves are in Bitcoin. El Salvador's return to gold bullion mirrors a broader central bank trend towards gold accumulation, something we've been seeing really happening since 2022. In fact, at that time, it kind of set a record. We've not seen that much gold acquisition by central banks since 1967. And we know what happened a couple of years later. In 1971, the United States withdrew from the gold standard completely, closing that gold window. Richard Milhous Nixon did. And this gold coin that you see right in front of you, well, it is the closest gold bullion coin to that area. That's the Mexican Libertad. Indeed, it is. And so it'd be wild. You know, it makes me wonder why some of these other nations don't have bullion coins for sale to the public where they can make a little bit of money on it. You know, such as some of the other island nations like Niue or Tuvalu and others. You know, hey, why not? El Salvador and some of these other nations too. Even if you get other mints to produce them for you. Nonetheless, gold accumulation is the latest trend. Over the past 2 years, global central banks have accumulated gold at a record pace, purchasing more than 1,000 tons each year, and are on pace to come close to that mint mark again, or to that mark in 2025, according to the World Gold Council. Gold now accounts for nearly 20% of global central bank reserves. And you know, the story I just covered where it has now exceeded the cash on hand or other reserves, it has crossed that line to be one of the most prominent of the assets out there in terms of value proposition based off of price, considering its record high. It's pretty amazing to see what's happening here. And so that is now that where it is global central banks reserves are seeing what's happening there, and in terms of other currencies, but coupled together, dollar-denominated assets is still number one. Earlier this week, Goldman Sachs presented a case where central banks and institutions would continue to allocate funds into gold and away from dollar-denominated assets under a current political environment in the United States. Under such a scenario, gold prices could continue to skyrocket and may realistically reach $5,000 an ounce, according to Goldman Sachs. And I think there's other cases out there that could be made. Of course, I always express caution when thinking too bullish, and considering that we're now with gold at an all-time high when adjusted for inflation. But I still think there's more things that are indicating the prices could continue to climb rather than down at this point. Unless central banks start to sell, news like this is even bigger when you're seeing nations that have not done so in so many years start to accumulate. They're paying attention where they had not been paying attention before. This is why this case here is such a big deal. So we're going to continue to watch that here on this channel. And this channel, by the way, likes to bring you the latest news in the world of precious metals. And I'm very appreciative to all of you who take the time to watch my daily videos and keep up with the news here. And if you enjoy what I do here, and I hope you will consider subscribing to the channel. I may not be first on the news, but oftentimes I am. And if not, I'll be very close by. I always like to keep up with the latest. And this is one of those scenarios where I actually knew about it a couple of days before, but I did not get verification of it until I actually saw a story behind it. But it was originally posted as a sort of an image and a headline, but no story behind it. So I wanted to make sure it was true before I actually did post something about it. But nonetheless, this is what's happening right now, and it's an amazing thing to see. And we're going to keep an eye on it. You know, it's El Salvador, they're a central bank buying gold, and you and I, we can be our own central bank by having gold in our reserves. There's power in having something that is a top asset, such as gold. It is the Tier 1 asset as delegated by the Bank of International Settlements back in April of 2019, which is the central bank of central bankers. So therefore, we will continue to press on with gold and watch and see what happens with the metal. And the price keeps going up, and which means likely most of us are going to be buying less and less. But nonetheless, holding on to your gold is a very, very powerful thing too. And sometimes you just got to be agile with the markets and see where it pans out. But nonetheless, there you go. So let me know what your thoughts are about this story, about El Salvador accumulating gold. And we'll see what other nations who have not bought in a long time and see if they start doing it too. I think this will start a trend for other nations, not only in the area, such as in the area of Central America, but other nations around the world too. We'll keep an eye on it here. So with that, I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.